How many of you have ever been asked by an adult, what do you want to be when you grow up? I mean, we've all heard it, and it seems like quite a few times, right? There's a certain heaviness that comes with that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And honestly, it's quite an insane expectation that at 8, 9, even 14 or 15 years old, you need to know what you'll do for the rest of your life. But I have the privilege today of telling you that it's okay if you do not know or if you do not have those answers just yet. You might see the heaviness that comes with the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, as a negative. However, I have the privilege of telling you today that it shows that you're stepping into adulthood with intention. It shows that you are considering that what you will give to the world will be for yourself and for others, ultimately fulfilling your own sense of happiness. So where do we turn when we want to find out what makes us the most happy? Let's try something. Close your eyes. Think about something that makes you overjoyed. It could be acting, drawing, coding, just about anything. Now break it down. Why does this thing make me so happy? What about it keeps me coming back time and time again? Hold on to those insights and open your eyes. What if I told you there's a way to pursue your passions without ever letting them go? You can go into a career that might not look like your most ideal thing, but you never have to let go of doing what you love. Through your own steps, you can turn it into a dream. Today, I want to share how I discovered our futures are what we create. Sometimes our dreams manifest in the most unexpected ways possible. It's about embracing your passions and never letting it go. Accept guidance from others, but never let anyone make the decisions for you. Because in the end, it's about discovering who you are and developing that person into someone so passionate that no one can look away. For when you write your path according to how you want to live it, success will naturally find you, and therein you will create the greatest dream. Let me tell you about my experience, New York City, and more specifically, the subway. If you've ever had the experience of riding the New York City subway, you know that it can be quite a humbling one. But as a kid, I was on a mission each and every single time. Keep up with my dad, don't touch anything, and whatever you do, sanitize. My dad was like a walking Purell bottle. He would carry an entire full-size bottle of hand sanitizer in his backpack, just waiting to make its debut upon our arrival. On this particular freezing November day, my dad and I had taken on the mission of bringing my extended family from Costa Rica to Mott Street, where some of the most incredible Chinese food can be found. I remember thinking to myself that while my family had been so focused on getting delicious hot soup and roasted duck, that they had been completely distracted from the world of the subway around them. I wasn't expecting it, but on this particular day, I would hear something that I had never noticed before, something that would change my life forever. The sound had stirred emotions within me. It was mysterious, beautiful, and definitely not your usual subway sounds. As we made our way toward the exit, I came upon an elderly man playing an instrument I had never seen before. It was small enough to fit in his lap and had a barrel-like shape resting on his thigh. He would pull a bow across long strings and creating this wonderful sound. A sign by his foot had read, "Erhu," Chinese instrument. I remember standing there mesmerized and completely moved, unaware of the time that had passed until my father sharply grabbed me and pulled me back to his side, realizing I had strayed. Though he scolded me, my mind was still absorbed in this wonderful music. By the time we reached the top of the stairs and the bright white light against blinding snow had hit me, I was already longing to go back. I knew I needed this sound in my life forever. I didn't know how or in what capacity. I just knew I couldn't be happy without it. Fast forward a few years and I'm 16, sitting at our kitchen table with my parents who ask the infamous question, "So what do you want to be when you grow up?" I remember searching the depths of my brain for an answer that would make me as happy to say it as it would them to hear it. I wanted to do something global, something creative. I thought about photography or acting, and then I brought my ideas to my parents. I can tell you that their reactions were a little less than enthusiastic. So I pivoted. My first degree would end up being in graphic design and media technology. Art adjacent, parent approved. It wasn't what I dreamed of, but it was satisfying enough and I could deal with that. But here's the thing, satisfaction is not the thing that dreams are made out of. Did you know that in 2023, in a study conducted by Zippa, over 100 million Americans were surveyed about their overall job satisfaction. When asked how satisfied they were, only 20% could say that they were passionate about their line of work. Think about that for a second. Only 20% could say that they enjoyed what they were doing. The rest were simply satisfied. The idea of satisfied versus passionate boils down to one simple question: what if? What if I had done something different? What if I had chosen my passion over what everyone else was telling me? What if I had chosen the risk of the unknown that came with following my passion over the safety of the assurance that came with the career I chose but didn't necessarily want? What if I had listened to myself? The truth is, back then, I didn't know how to listen to myself. And honestly, it's something I still struggle with today. As I approached graduation, I was in complete panic mode. Months away from finishing a degree I knew I wasn't going to be using. And there I was, no backup plan, no clue, and definitely no conversation with my parents about how I was truly feeling. One day, out of nowhere, my mother's youngest sister called me, my super aunt, as I call her. She knew something was up, thanks to that magical aunt-like instinct. Talking to her was like recording a podcast, but without all of the stress. I told her of the Arhu, my years of studying different Asian communities and cultures, their varying histories, and where I thought all of these things had been calling me. I want to travel the world, I said. I want to live in a place so culturally deep and with so much depth that I learn something new each day just by being among the locals. But here I am again, terrified I will settle for something that is safe and, more importantly, something I do not want. She had me rattle off a list of career ideas that appealed to me: photographer, writer, flight attendant, translator, and then teacher. Why not teacher, she said. You've always been good with children, and we've always said since you were little that you'd be one. Plus, you'd have amazing mentors, considering both your parents are teachers. Now, she wasn't wrong. My first job at 14 was a babysitter. I loved kids, but that didn't mean I was about to sign my life away to whiteboards and grading papers. The problem wasn't teaching. It was that in becoming a teacher, I felt like I was giving up. It felt like trading my dreams for something safe, because everyone had always said, "Oh, you'd be a great teacher." So naturally, I resisted. I remember my aunt chuckling, "Becoming a teacher does not mean you will be the carbon copy of your parents, nor does it mean you have to stay in the United States the rest of your life. You could live abroad. You could even teach abroad. She casually dropped the idea of international education like it wasn't the biggest revelation I had heard to that day. And sure, I listened, but at that point, I still wasn't ready to fully embrace the idea of becoming a teacher. The title just felt too normal. But I did know one thing. I couldn't stay stuck where I was. I wasn't seeing the big picture yet, but at least I could take a small step. A few months later, I was accepted into one of New York's top schools for education. Now, this talk isn't called Settling for Less because that's what you're good at. It's called Living the Dream, turning passions into fulfilling careers. So how did I go from lost and confused to standing where I am today? Here's the secret. It wasn't a sudden, big, dramatic leap of confidence. It was actually a bunch of small, weird, slightly scary steps. I said yes to things that freaked me out, and I said no to things that were no longer aligning with who I wanted to be. Like realizing international education could actually be my ticket at Global Access. And instead of signing up for college-level American history, I filled my schedule with East Asian studies. And that's the real truth about courage. It doesn't always look like skydiving or starting $1 million business. Sometimes it's about showing up and making something your own. I never imagined that 6 years ago I would become a teacher, let alone that in choosing that, it would allow me to live in South Korea full-time. But in the journey from that moment to just a few short months ago, I realized an overwhelming truth. Pursuing your passion doesn't have to follow a straight path. Mark Twain once said, "Focus more on your desire than on your doubt, and the dream will take care of itself." He's right. When you lean into your passions, you stay motivated by what truly matters. And guess what? If you're worried about success, something like status or money even, it usually comes, but it feels more real because it's authentic to you. Now, I didn't become a world-famous erhu player, nor did I end up strutting the red carpet as an actress. But you know what? Look, there's something red under my feet right now. So technically, I would say that dream can be checked off. I also didn't live in China, where I could have heard erhu music every day. But I did move to Asia, where I'm surrounded by a rich culture and community that fills my life with beauty and depth, replicating those intense feelings that the erhu did so many years ago. And yes, I did become a teacher, but not just any teacher. I have the privilege of being an international educator. I get to experiment with diverse curriculums and methods, building a classroom that I never thought could exist, but is now the only place I want to be. My life is better than any dream I could have planned. I've woven together everything I love, living abroad, new cultures, learning new languages, and now sharing my truth with all of you. It's not just about achieving a specific dream. It's about living a life richer than anything I could have planned for myself. So to all of you, don't be frustrated if your path doesn't look like what you first imagined. Sometimes the dreams you live are far more amazing than the ones you set out to achieve. Keep making brave choices. Stay open to the unexpected. And remember, the life you are building may lead you to a dream that you didn't even know you had until you were living it. Thank you.